Walk into a house you loved as a child and notice how your shoulders drop, breath slows, and memories roll in before you have time to speak. Now walk into an antique shop filled with cracked dolls and hunting trophies. Your spine tightens even if you keep telling yourself, they're only decorations. This rapid mood swing is not magic. It is affective tagging, a feature of the brain that glues emotion to everything the eyes record. Scientists at New York University tracked volunteers with magnetic resonance imaging and found that the amygdala, our threat detection hub, fires within 200 milliseconds of seeing a familiar object. If the object once appeared during stress, the amygdala flags it as approach with caution. The hippocampus then attaches the context: who was present, what was said, whether the air smelled of rain or smoke. Every later glance replays that package, dribbling cortisol or dopamine into the bloodstream, changing pulse and digestion long before the conscious mind joins the meeting. Physical chemistry backs up the feeling. When the amygdala rings its internal alarm, adrenal glands release adrenaline and norepinephrine. Blood flow shifts away from frontal lobe reasoning toward large muscle groups. The mind moves from open curiosity toward tunnel vision, and the room feels smaller, darker, or strangely off. On the opposite end, a memento from a triumphant moment fires the brain's reward circuit, ventral tegmental area and nucleus accumbens, releasing dopamine, lowering inflammation, and nudging creative thought. The object itself did nothing. Your sensory system just replayed the emotional file it stored the first time you met. Culture intensifies the effect. In the Amazon basin, a carved pink dolphin statue means trickster danger. Residents sleep poorly near it. The same statue on a Tokyo shelf triggers no such response. In Sicily, a ceramic horn is sold as protection. In Northern Europe it feels like gaudy tourist kitsch. These associations pass along families the way recipes do. You may swear you do not believe in curses, yet find yourself uneasy when someone gifts you a second-hand Ouija board. It isn't supernatural dread. It is learned expectation that such items signal dark stories. A German study asked self-identified skeptics to prick a cloth doll said to represent a stranger. Minutes later their blood pressure rose, and they handled the doll with visible reluctance, proving that cultural scripts run deeper than stated beliefs. Animals mirror our microsignals. Dogs can smell the byproducts of adrenaline in sweat and hear microquivers in vocal cords. If you stiffen near a certain figurine, the dog barks at the figurine. Remove the cue and the barking stops. Plants, though less dramatic, respond to carbon dioxide spikes and microscopic shifts in humidity. Chronic stress in a room often means more sighing and shallow breathing. That extra carbon dioxide plus reduced attention to watering dries leaves. When a healthy fern wilts within a week of a new wall hanging, the plant may be showing you what your own nervous system has not yet admitted. Add the layer of physical toxins and the story deepens. Vintage painted tins sometimes leach lead dust. Imported incense sticks can release benzene. Bargain candles load the air with paraffin soot. Even at levels far below legal limits, breathing these compounds for hours a day raises baseline inflammation, which the body interprets as low-grade threat. If the candle smoke drifts under a painting that already carries a sorrowful memory, the psychological and chemical cues stack, and the living room gains a heaviness no amount of motivational posters can fix. An object can sour a home through three linked channels: emotional memory, cultural expectation, and environmental chemistry. None of them requires demons or mystical portals. They do, however, combine in a way that feels eerily like a curse because the brain registers threat, the heart pounds, the dog growls, and the fern droops, all pointing in the same anxious direction. Understanding these channels is step one. The next step is learning how to separate real signals from superstition and how to neutralize them without staging an exorcism. Emotional priming, the hidden replay button. Each glance at an object reruns the body chemistry stored the first time you saw it. In laboratory tests at New York University, volunteers who once viewed a shocking photograph showed elevated heart rate just by seeing that photograph's frame a week later, even though the image itself was replaced with a neutral pattern. Their skin temperature fell and their digestive system slowed, classic fight or flight. Place a war souvenir or breakup gift on your shelf and the same cascade drips into your bloodstream every afternoon when sunlight hits that shelf. Within months, elevated cortisol shaves minutes off deep sleep and raises evening blood sugar. The mood dip feels like bad luck, yet the chemistry is coming from a picture frame that now functions as an emotional remote control. Environmental toxicology. slow leaks, fast moods. A 90-year-old ceramic teacup may look charming, but lead glaze dusts off in microparticles every time you wash it. Lead disrupts dopamine signaling in the prefrontal cortex, the brain area that filters distraction. Even low exposure dulls focus and spikes irritability before blood tests flag a problem. Cheap scented candles do similar damage. Paraffin smoke coats the nostrils with hydrocarbons, which the liver converts to low-level inflammatory molecules. Within 20 minutes of lighting a candle, electroencephalography shows reduced alpha waves, the calm focus rhythm, and increased beta waves linked to anxiety. You label the sensation as a weird atmosphere, never guessing the wick is pumping invisible irritants that tilt the entire household toward short tempers. Nocebo loops, belief rewires biology. A research team at Harvard Medical School asked self-described skeptics to wear a lucky charm for a day, then asked a second group to wear a charm declared cursed. Both charms were indistinguishable plastic discs. By sunset, the cursed disc group showed higher systolic blood pressure and finished 40% fewer logic puzzles than the lucky disc group. The only difference was expectation. The mind scanned for evidence that the curse was real, found ordinary glitches, a spilled coffee, a stalled elevator, and tagged them as proof, raising stress hormones and feeding the next round of hypervigilance. Remove the disc, and blood pressure subsided within 50 minutes. The lesson is ruthless. What you label unlucky recruits your entire nervous system and then manufactures unlucky outcomes. Perception-action coupling, the slippery stare effect. Objects also change posture and movement. A University of British Columbia study showed that athletes asked to stand near a display of aggressive images tightened their calf muscles and took shorter steps on a balance beam without noticing. Postural tension increases joint load, raising injury risk over time. If a teenager pins disturbing art to the hallway wall, every nightly walk to the bathroom becomes a micro-adrenaline sprint. Multiply by months and restless sleep or shin splints appear out of nowhere. Together these pathways create a feedback circle. Emotional priming triggers chemistry, chemistry biases perception, biased perception fuels nocebo expectation, expectation alters posture and behavior, which confirms the original dread. Break any link, emotion, toxin, belief, or posture, and the chain collapses. That is why clearing a single shelf can feel like lifting a physical weight. The shelf was the hub where all four pathways converged. Now, ASDVEP house reset without religious rituals. 15-minute sensory audit. Set a timer and walk room to room. Each time you feel a micro flinch, jaw clench, breath hitch, write down what you were looking at. Do not judge, just list. Collect every item on the list into one box and store it in a closet for 30 days. Track sleep, focus, and general mood. If any metric improves, the item stays out. If nothing changes, bring it back or donate it. The data does the deciding. Air and light upgrade. Open windows for 10 minutes morning and night to flush carbon dioxide and volatile chemicals. Swap any candle that produces black soot for pure beeswax or soy. Replace cool white bulbs above 4000 Kelvin in bedrooms with warm spectrum. Circadian rhythm labs show these tweaks drop evening cortisol almost 40% in 2 weeks, equivalent to eliminating a chronic stressor. Positive tag replacement. For every object boxed away, position something that signals mastery or calm. A photo of a completed marathon, a seaside print, even a smooth river stone picked up on a happy vacation. The hippocampus builds fresh association chains. Within days, the new cue triggers slower breathing and higher vagal tone, a measurable marker of resilience. Shared space voting. If family members disagree on an item, run a simple vote. Energizing, neutral, or draining. Anything landing on multiple draining votes leaves common areas. Respect avoids the backlash that often accompanies unilateral purges, keeping the household emotionally safe while you experiment. Closure writing. Tape a sheet of paper to each boxed object. Write one sentence. This reminded me of. It no longer serves. A meta-analysis on expressive writing shows that the act of labeling emotion reduces limbic activity and boosts immune function for months. You are closing a neural loop, not performing a spell. 90-day rescan. Neural tags fade, new ones form. Schedule a fresh audit every 3 months. The goal is not a sterile minimalist showroom. It is an environment tuned to current goals and well-being. Think of it as updating software. Remove outdated code, patch security holes, Install features that support today's mission. Emergency neutralizers. If you cannot remove an object, maybe it belongs to a partner, shift its location, add bright light, or place a living plant beside it. Light bleaches negative associations. Greenery absorbs airborne toxins and introduces fractal patterns proven to lower heart rate. Even partial adjustments cut stress chemistry by a third. Follow these steps and the curse dissolves into measurable changes. Steadier pulse, better sleep, calmer pets, healthier plants, and fewer accidents that once looked like fate but were really stress-driven lapses in attention. Your home turns from energy sink into cognitive ally. No holy water, incense, or expensive crystals required.